Hello friends, I'm so excited to welcome you to my channel. Today I have a special video for you as I'm sharing my first scary story. It was a bit scary for me to write it, but I really want to hear your feedback, so I'm asking you, dear viewers, to evaluate my creation and support me in the comments. Your reactions and reviews mean a lot to me, and I can't wait to hear what emotions my story evokes in you. If you enjoy the video and want to see more scary stories and other engaging content on my channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any new videos. Thank you so much for your support, friends. Let's embark on this journey into the world of fear and mystery together. In 2006, Chloe and her family moved to a new apartment. The house itself was not new anymore. The girl who sold the house mentioned that it was built in the 1960s. When the family came to see the apartment for the first time, as soon as Chloe crossed the threshold, she felt something unsettling in her chest, as if something was telling her to leave. But dismissing this feeling as mere nervousness, the girl tried not to pay attention to the inner alarm. As they walked through the apartment, she noticed how her parents' eyes lit up. The house wasn't particularly expensive, and while the rooms were decently done, the repairs weren't fresh. The wallpaper was peeling off in some places, and the furniture was worn and old. However, none of that mattered to Chloe as her attention was drawn to a peculiar mirror in one of the rooms. It was exquisitely expensive, standing out from the other items. The frame was made of silver in a Baroque style. It was about half Chloe's height, and she stood at 150 cm. The brunette approached the mirror and began examining it, as if trying to see something within it. She gazed at her reflection for a long time, as if trying to memorize every detail of her face and the room. Suddenly, she felt her mother's hand on her shoulder, attempting to reach her for the 5th time. "Chloe, what's wrong with you? Let's go. It's time. Can you hear me?" Her mother shook her shoulder, repeating herself. Finally hearing her, Chloe turned to face her. For a moment, her mother thought the brunette's eyes had turned intensely blue, much lighter than before. But in an instant, her eyelids changed back to their previous shade. After catching her daughter's gaze, a chill ran down the woman's spine, but she dismissed it as mere excitement, and they left the room. A week later, the same family finally settled into their long-awaited apartment. The first night was incredibly nerve-wracking for each of them, as they had never slept in their own place before. Chloe was assigned the room, the mirror. As soon as she entered the room, she felt sick. Her head started spinning, and her legs became incredibly weak. Realizing that she was about to collapse, she grabbed a nearby chair and sat on it. Glancing briefly at the mirror, her heart began pounding so fast it felt like Chloe had just finished running a 3-kilometer marathon. Breathing heavily and looking at the floor, panic and fear started to engulf her. The brunette wanted to scream and tell her parents how incredibly unwell she felt, but her voice disappeared. Instead of words, only air came out. The second passed and it all faded away as abruptly as it had appeared. What it was, she did not know. Nighttime. The whole family fell asleep, and only the little girl lay under the covers, trembling with fear. She distinctly heard a whisper just moments ago, as if someone or something was beckoning her to approach the very same mirror. Chloe. The wind seemed to call her. The girl felt as though the voice was everywhere, enveloping her entire room, making it impossible to determine the source of the person or entity that had been whispering ominously for more than a minute. Suddenly, she felt someone's hand running down her back, a cold touch that felt like snow down her collar. The chill spread throughout her body, from head to toe. The fear the child experienced was difficult to describe. Overwhelmed by an incredible terror, Chloe blacked out. In the morning, as soon as she woke up, she immediately ran to her parents and told them everything, but they didn't believe her. dismissing it as a bad dream. "No one ever believes me," Chloe muttered, sitting in her room and staring at the floor. She was scared to be here, but what could she do? It was the only place where she could be alone. Sitting there, recalling everything she had experienced today, she began to wonder, what if it was all a lie? What if it was just a dream? Getting out of bed, her gaze fell once again on the same mirror, and in a second, Chloe couldn't understand how she ended up next to it. "Chloe," she heard that voice again, coming from nowhere. "Come to me," someone sweetly beckoned. "Who are you?" she asked, trying to avert her gaze from her reflection, but all her attempts were in vain. "I am your reflection. I am you." The face of Chloe in the mirror suddenly started to smile, growing stronger and stronger. Soon, her lips reached her ears, resembling the smile of the Cheshire cat. With each upward stretch, the brunette felt pain, as if her cheeks were tearing apart. "What are you doing?" she tried to ask her reflection, but through force and pain, the girl screamed, looking at herself and trying to shift her gaze somewhere else. "Chloe." Suddenly, her father entered the room. The reflection instantly released Chloe from its grip. "Oh my God, why is there blood coming from your mouth?" he asked, rushing over when he saw his daughter in such a state. "I don't know," she replied, tears welling up in her eyes as she held her mouth. "Come with me," her father said anxiously, helping her to her feet. As they left the room, the girl accidentally glanced at the same mirror and saw herself, but now with a bloody mouth and a smile stretching to her ears. As soon as Chloe tried to say something, she realized that she could no longer speak. Panic immediately gripped her mind. What was she going to do now? Why couldn't she speak anymore like before? And there it was again, nightfall. The girl desperately tried to show that she didn't want to sleep in her room anymore, but her parents didn't understand. After all, it was just an ordinary room. Everything was fine with it. Lying in bed and trying to fall asleep, the brunette finally managed to do so, but her peaceful sleep didn't last long. "Chloe, Chloe, Chloe," someone continuously shouted her name, trying to wake her up. Opening her eyes, she saw no one. Fear immediately engulfed her consciousness. Her heart started beating faster than usual, and a cold sweat ran down her body. Lifting the blanket, she tried to cover her face, thinking it might help, but no. Something incredibly drew her to that same mirror, and fear couldn't stop her. That voice, it called her. It seemed to be inside her head, as if a part of her. Getting out of bed, no longer in control of her actions, Chloe, as if hypnotized, walked towards it. The next morning, the family was found brutally murdered. The mother and father had been stabbed with 6 wounds in total. 1 in the head, 2 on the neck, 1 near the heart, and the remaining 2 on the abdomen. The room was stained with blood. Their daughter was found hanged by her own hair in her room. What happened that night? We may never know.